Thank you for joining us on another episode of Built with Jason White, and this is where we try to forge strong men and families to not only lead with faith, build with purpose, but to live with impact. And today, I got my man Kyle Henson on the show, and actually, I don't know a ton about Kyle, but we're going to get to know Kyle. Let's do a little bit of an intro for him. Kyle has worked in accounting, finance, and I got to read all this because there's all kinds of stuff that you've done. So accounting, finance, education, organizational leadership, business development, and currently you're in leadership space, speaking and consulting, correct?
That's correct.
All right. So that's and I got the opportunity to hear Kyle. The first time was it was like a faith-based entrepreneur at Fenton Freedom Center, I think. And then last year you came and spoke to all of our agents at our retreat.
Yes.
And I said, this dude has got something. So
I had you fooled, man.
Yeah. Well, hey. So thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. And today is going to be very, very special. I'm actually very excited because we're going to get into some what I'm really passionate about and kind of like psychology and how that stuff works when it comes to how you're feeling, how you lead, things like that. So I'm kind of excited to pick your brain on that. But before we get into the meat and potatoes, we always like to start with our little fire starters.
Yeah.
This helps the audience kind of get to know you a little bit. And they're fun, but they're also just kind of peel back the layers a little bit. So
sounds great.
So number one, what's one thing that most people would be surprised to learn about you?
Oh, wow. I guess it kind of gets right into it. I'm a pretty happy and outgoing person.
Yeah.
But I'll say probably for the first 15 years of being married, I was a totally different person.
Well, you and I got that in common, I think, then.
Yeah. So I love people, but I just wasn't that person 15 years ago today.
So, well, hey, you know what? It's not how you start, it's how you finish,
That's right?
So there you go. This one's kind of cool, and I like to get to know, what would your walk-up song be if you were walking into an arena?
Wow.
Yeah.
Walk-up song.
That's a new question for our guest on this one.
I would say, I'm a big elevation worship guy.
Okay.
And so, man, I think it'd be, I'm just grateful. I think
that's
that would be.
One.
I think that would be the one now.
That's a good song too,
yeah.
And I think that's the got the dude from Maverick City that sings that too, right? I forget his name, but
I have no idea.
But
I just think
that's a good one. It's
a good
sure.
song. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Coffee or energy drink?
Coffee
guy.
daily.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
2 cream, extra large, all good.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you have it. Not only just coffee, you got his order now. So anybody want to buy him coffee, you know what to get. There you go. And this one kind of reveals this one's a thought-provoking one. What is one word that your family would use to describe you?
Oh, I would say, man, that's a tough question. I think it'd be a couple. I try and keep it light. Mm-hmm. Doesn't always happen, but maybe light would be it. I think in a world that is so heavy, that if we can, go into things with some kind of lightness, some kind of joy, and I think joy is in all different flavors. Ours comes from the Lord above.
All right.
But I do believe that keeping it light and just having fun,
all right.
in our lives.
I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
I like it. All right, now you got to know a little bit about Kyle, but so I want to talk a lot about, and we're going to get into it. I want to talk a lot about, your mindset behind leadership, what you've learned over the years, how, our mindset affects that, or even our energy. But first, I want to know how in the world you made it through all of these things in your very young life, and what brought you through those all the way into what you're doing now. So, I mean, it says you started, like, you were in accounting, finance, and stuff. How did that progress, or what did that path look like for you?
Yeah. Okay. So that's a fun story.
Yeah.
So I graduated high school at 17.
Okay.
I went away to Central Michigan to play baseball. And I think my first semester, I had like a 1.4 GPA.
So you were,
I was going pro in baseball, but then I found the athletic center, and I thought I was going pro in basketball too.
Oh,
so
there you go.
Yeah, so all 5'11", 160 of me. And so my dad said, I think you need to come back home. And I said, why? He said, well, your GPA is 1.4. And I'm like, well, if it's out of 2, we're not bad. But it was out of 4. So So I came back home, went to Mott for a couple years, played baseball there, and I would always be the person that started things, but never finished them.
Okay.
I was very good, just what you said. I was good at starting things, but I could never complete it. So once baseball season got done, I just said, forget it, I'm dropping the classes. I could have all A's, not really, but I'm going to say that.
Close enough.
But I get to the end, and then I didn't have that drive to finish anything in my life.
Gotcha.
And so that happened. And I think I spent about 8 years, I say, and got my associate's degree finally. And my mom thought I was a doctor, but I said, Mom, that's an associate's.
Just took a while.
So it just took me 4 times the average person what they would take. But during that whole process, it taught me a lot of things. It taught me a lot about myself, what I needed to accomplish, just to have the satisfaction of finishing something.
Right.
And so I finished my associate's degree. I'd taken accounting classes. I loved accounting. And so I went over to University of Michigan, and I finished my last 2 years of school, had the highest grades I'd ever had. Number one, because I was paying for it. And number two, I was working 3 jobs at the time. I was helping my wife. These are funny stories. I helped my wife clean. I worked at Hurley in their accounting department, and I DJ'd.
Oh,
Yeah.
DJ. What was your DJ name?
It wasn't anything popular. It was just play music.
Oh, okay.
Just play music.
Oh, okay.
That's
so you
what
didn't
mine
have
was.
like a cool DJ?
Oh, no. I was far from it. I just I enjoyed having a little bit of extra money. And then my wife and I got married in '98, and we had our son that same year. And so I had to learn how to finish things, and I still wasn't good at it, but accounting was my background. I knew enough about it. I liked the classes that I took, and I thought, well, might as well go into accounting because I was so close. I just needed to finish at that point.
So you went to Central Michigan, went to Mott. 8 years at Mott? Is that what?
Well, no, it wasn't
were?
8 years. Okay. I think it was off and on though.
Okay.
It really was.
So you got like 12 years of college under your belt. That's
so
good.
as you can see, why I have all those different things on my resume.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So accounting was it. I went into the financial services though when I left school. A friend of ours had a business, and I started in that business, and then moved on from there. Started my own company. And then my wife had thyroid cancer 2 times, and thankfully she is 100% good now.
Awesome.
And during that time, she had the benefits by working at the hospital. When she went off on sick leave, I had to figure something out because we had 4 kids, and they were all, I think, under 12 at the time. And so I went back to school, the school systems, and started working in the accounting department. I did grants management for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think God had a different plan. And so that kind of led me into the speaking role. And that's really where I'm at today.
Well, what a foundation that got set, though, with it's like, well, I've been in every other aspect of life. And
except for Major League Baseball. That was the plan, but it never made it.
That's weird.
It's weird how that happens.
Well, I love that because it really does go to show that I feel like as men or young people in general, because you go off to college, they ask you to figure out what you're doing with your entire life at 18 years old.
Yeah.
And no one knows what the heck they're going to do. Even if they have a game plan, it will change 4, 5, 6 times before they're 30, typically.
100%.
Because I didn't get into what I'm doing now until I was, 35?
Okay.
So I had quite the path myself, but I didn't quite as get as.
You didn't have 12 years to get your degree?
No,
okay,
I did not. Well, I didn't get a degree, so there's that. So I was apparently going to go pro at something else too, but no.
Right.
But now you're in the leadership speaking role.
Yes.
And I want to talk a lot about that because I feel like there's a lot to be said. And I mean, the show is built around faith, but it's built around being a leader, especially for the men, husbands, fathers, men out there.
Yeah.
But I want to talk a lot about the energy or the connection about leadership and how energy is connected to leadership. Because this is something that you teach.
Sure.
So I just want to see, how does that correlate? Where did you come up with this, or where did you learn it?
Yeah.
Let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've always been fascinated with people. I love people, but people are hard as well. And what I found is that there are people in the world that want to be different, but don't really necessarily know how to.
Yeah.
I think that's where I was. I think we all have those things where we learn what we learned from our prior generation, and they only know what they know from their prior generation.
Correct.
And so I think I learned that going forward. My dad was an amazing guy. Loved my dad. But, sometimes we only know what we know.
Yeah.
And so when I came in to my marriage and with my kids, my dad had set a really good foundation. But I also know that my dad would have wanted my kids to be better than I was.
Right.
And so for that to happen, I had to draw a line in the sand. And it takes me back to that 15 years of being married that I really wasn't the nicest person. I'd be as nice as I could to you, but I'd get home and I'd treat my family the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Because I think we always assume that those people that love us the most are always going to be there.
Yeah.
And we can treat them how we want.
We take it for granted.
We take it for granted.
100%. Yep.
And so I knew I always wanted to be different, but I just didn't know how. And there was a workshop that I attended, and it was a lot on happiness. It's what I speak on a lot now. And it was just, to me, eye-opening, just enlightening to say, that's what I want.
Yeah.
And for that to happen, I knew I had to draw a line in the sand because I wanted my kids, my 4 kids, are now 3 grandkids, to be better than I ever was. And for that to happen, I have to change who I am. Mm-hmm. Change is hard.
Yep.
Until it's something we want.
Yeah.
That's what I always say. No one likes change because seems to be change is always on someone else's terms.
Yeah.
Right? So what is it now? You're going to change, or are we taking away PTO, or are we taking away benefits? What is it that we're changing? And we have that fear in us that you're taking something away. But you ask the same person if they like change, and they say, no, I hate change, but yet they go to the gym every day. Why do they like change in that situation? I think it's because we want change on our own terms.
And it's also, if the change enhances them,
Yeah.
they're okay with it.
That's true.
But a lot of times it's painful.
Sure.
Change is painful, and no one wants to go through the pain, even if there is a light at the end of the tunnel,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, that pain, I can get that. I understand that for sure.
That's how I was.
Yeah.
I wanted to change. I didn't know how to change. And so that led me into how can I, because when I did make that change, and I'm going to tell you, my family will tell you to this day that I still struggle with all kinds of things. If they were sitting on the other side of the camera, they would say, well, what about, and what about? And I get that. I do, because I can still admit that I am. I got a lot of hang-ups still, trying to work through. But I also know this. The things that we go through are not for us. I think the stories that made us who we are for someone else down the road that's going to need to hear our story to get through what they're going through at the time.
100%.
And if we can't tell that story, how many opportunities are we missing for people to not only be better internally, but be better for the kingdom?
Man, you're like promoting the podcast right now.
Well,
this is why we built this. Like,
I'm
let's
telling you.
tell stories that
Yeah.
what we've been through, so that we can help others, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, why keep it to yourself? And what benefit is that you went through all that pain?
Sure.
If you're not able to actually go out and say, okay, here's what happened, here's what I went through.
Yeah.
And there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are
Yeah.
ways around it to get through
Absolutely.
it and help these to other families out there. So
Well, you tell a great story too. I mean, I was inspired by your story. I've heard your story numerous times now, and every time it amazes me. It's not easy to tell that story.
no, it's not. Nope. And and most of the time it's because, one, you relive the pain, but two, when you have a different mindset or focus of who you are now compared to who you were 15 years ago, or whatever it was for the first 15 years, I don't know if I would say that you get down on yourself, but in a sense you do.
Yeah.
You're like, man, I can't believe I put my family through that, right? And that's what hurts the most. It's not like, I don't care if people know that I was a big idiot, because
Right.
I was.
Sure.
What matters is how I treated my family and how they had to go through that during that time.
Yeah.
And so, that's But anyways, I digress. And
Yeah.
actually, I have a gentleman coming on, Bud Rednauer. He's our associate pastor, and he was on a couple episodes ago or a few episodes
Okay.
ago, and we're going to go through. I invited him back on to actually speak on my story and the marriage, and so we're gonna really dig into that a little bit and share it again on the podcast. It'd be the first time on this podcast that I'd share that. But so 15 years.
Yeah.
And then, so what shifted? It was just that seminar, or what was it that
No.
caused that? Because you don't just wake up one morning, flip the switch, and say, "I want to be different."
Yeah.
There's something usually that says, "I have to be different," right?
Yeah.
So, what if you care to share?
No,
I don't
no,
wanna-
100%.
Okay.
I share this often that our pastor at the Freedom Center, Pastor Jim, my wife was at her last straw, and she said, "This is it." She made the appointment. Of course, I'm arrogant. I don't need to go to see anybody.
Yeah.
Why would I want my stuff out there? I'm a good person, and so we ended up meeting with them, and it was at Bob Evans out on Owen Road when it was still there. So it was a long time ago.
Okay.
And I dropped my fork, and I can remember to this day, I went to pick it up off the ground, and he said, I think you care more about what other people think of you than your own family. People could tell me that forever. My wife could tell me that. My kids could tell me that. My parents could tell me that. But in the end, hearing it from somebody on the outside really hit deep. And I'll be honest with you, and I told my wife this, we were texting back and forth today, and I said the same thing to her. I said, one of the things that really drove me to staying married, because it's just, sometimes we don't have enough marriages that stick through it.
Right.
And I was that guy that would just say, quit. Yeah. You go find whoever you want. I'm fine. I'll be fine. I wasn't, but those are the words that helped me feel like I was in control still.
Right.
And so we were texting today a little bit about that, and I just said to her that the one thing that always drove me was always knowing that my kids would never have to make a decision of who to see, which parent to see on a holiday or on a birthday.
Right.
And whatever it was, Jason, I have no idea, but that always resonated with me. Number one, that story of you care more about other people than you do yourself. Yes. But at the other side of that was, like, my wife could take care of herself. I 100% know that. But my kids were stuck in the middle, and it's something that they weren't born into the world to have to make those choices and to see a mom and dad split. And there's nothing, I'm not speaking down on anything or anyone. I'm just saying for me, that was the point where it hit me hard to say, I don't want to ever make them choose.
Yeah.
I will make this work, even if I have to fake it with their mom, but this is this is what's going to happen.
That's crazy. That's because, that was a similar thing that I shared because that was one of the things when we were going through our struggles was I thought it was over. In my mind, the first thing I thought when my oldest daughter said, "Yeah, Mom, you should." Yeah. And then I was like, first thing that went to my mind was, I won't be there to tuck them in at night.
Yep.
And I was like, that's the last thing I want as a father, right?
Yeah,
so it had nothing to do with, it was all about them at that point, right? And so, I can relate to that quite a bit. And it's one of those things where it's kind of the rock bottom view that us very hard-headed men need to say, wake
100%.
up call. Yeah.
I'm so glad that my kids were probably telling my wife that, but I'm so glad I never heard that from them.
Yeah.
Because it would. I'm sure my wife sheltered me from a lot of things that they said. The really cool thing, and I'm backstepping for just a second. The really cool thing is my son and I were meeting. It was a couple weeks ago, and he came to me and he said, Dad. He said, because I was reminding myself and him about all the negative things that I did. And he said, I don't care. He said, I have forgiven you. You need to begin to forgive yourself. Yeah. That's what's really cool, coming from a 27-year-old son to speak that into you, to go, he's right.
Yeah.
I think it's Satan just continuing to remind me of how bad I was so that I won't see all the good things that I've done sometimes. And it took my own son at 27 with all the wisdom and knowledge to be able to point that out to me.
And I had David Scott on, a few episodes ago, and he talked about a similar discussion with his daughter, or he was talking about how what he felt the worst about was his daughter seeing or having those memories of him, the bad ones. And I told him, I said, I think this is something God revealed to me, even though we would never want to go through something like that again. Yeah. Those situations, even the negative things, but then seeing the change that has happened has taught our children something that they will never learn without actually being able to witness that. Yeah. It's not something that, and so now they may avoid something like that in their future life or their relationships because we went through the hard work and they got to witness the change and what, so even though it's, like you said, it's not something you'd ever want to go through, or it's, you think of those 15 years as being the worst of the worst. It did set a foundation for probably a period of growth, definitely in you.
Oh yeah,
but for them as well.
Sure.
So that's kind of cool.
They started seeing those changes.
Yeah. So that's kind of neat. So
I think I missed your whole question.
It was good. It doesn't matter. It was great conversation. Yeah. It had nothing to do with what I asked, but it's fine, Kyle.
That's completely fine. Let me get back to that for just a minute.
So, and I'm going to say, I forget to tell you before we try not to hit the table too much because it just pops in my head. So you're good.
Gotcha.
You're good.
Yeah. Okay.
I fight it too. We're all hand talkers and we're like doing so. Yeah. So energy and leadership.
Yep.
How do they correlate? Where'd that come from? I know you said that you actually started. You went to a thing at the church or something like that, or a event, right? That was the thing that got into that energy versus leadership, or how they correlate. Correct?
Yeah. So energy is an acronym, and a lot of those words in there I feel are for individuals.
Okay.
Everywhere I go, I see individuals that are hurting, and they're hurting for one reason or another, whether it's that job or a different job. And what I found is that most people think leadership is from top down. You look at who leaders are. Leaders are you, they're me, they're anyone out there that has kids, grandkids, anyone that works with another person. Yeah. You're leading someone. And
absolutely. And I'm going to take it a step further, and I'm going to say it doesn't matter if you have anybody in your life right now or somebody's watching you.
Somebody's
and you're leading
watching
them by your actions.
Agree.
100%.
100%. And so when I saw that, I started seeing people that we talk about this in our workshops, that Gallup does the study of people that are engaged, disengaged, actively disengaged, and we all fall into one of those three categories. And this really hit home for me is, why is somebody that starts a job, they're on fire day one, but maybe day 60, day 90, 1 year, 2 years down the road, they're no longer engaged in what they do.
Yeah.
There are numerous things that could happen to them that help move them away from that being on fire for their job. And so when I started looking at that more, I thought, well, number one, engagement. Sometimes we're, as employers are simply looking at people from what they did wrong rather than what they did right.
Yeah.
I think engagement goes the opposite. If I'm engaged with you and the only time that you're ever hearing from me, or if I'm not engaged with you and the only time you're ever hearing from me is all the stuff that I did bad, I don't know that I really want to continue working on that job.
No, probably not.
But the other way works too, is the more I'm engaged with you. Like I'll go to a local coffee shop. We have 5 right by us.
Yeah.
Why do I continue to go to the one that when I walk in, they say, "Hey, Kyle, how are you? Have you been out of town lately? Because we haven't seen you. Same order as always, brown sugar, shaken espresso with, whatever it might be." And you walk out, you go, "Yeah." I mean, everybody around just knew who I was, where I work, what I do, and my favorite drink order, all because they engaged with me. And if we can get that into individuals, I think the workforce becomes better. Not that anything is it's not always going to be perfect. Right. I think that's toxic positivity. But I think when we can engage with folks, they start to see that they actually matter, which I believe helps draw people away from their work. When we continuously help people see that what they think and what they do doesn't matter, what are you going to get out of that individual? You're going to stop getting great ideas, and you're going to stop getting people that work hard for the organization.
That's powerful, actually. So, and as you're saying it, because I've been out of the workforce a little while now, as far as being in the corporate world, it's been, 9 years or something like that. But as you were saying it, I was thinking back to my days and my favorite, jobs or whatever. But then it immediately shifted to, kids kids at home, right? Because, I mean, do you agree that same principle would be highly motivational and successful for raising kids too?
Oh, 100%.
If everything that you ever do with your child is a discipline, or what they're doing wrong,
Yeah.
that's probably going to cause some friction.
Yeah.
And the energy in that house is going to probably not be, and we talked about this on my last episode too a little bit, but being able to share, hey, I really appreciate that you did that, or whatever it is, right, is probably a huge benefit in the family life too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you deal a lot with, or is your focus right now mostly in businesses? And
It's mostly in businesses,
Okay.
but it's more so, how do we get you better as an individual?
yeah,
Because I think if we can, not that everyone's broken or needs fixing, but I think just like you said, a pat on the back goes a long way sometimes. I don't need a gift card to a local coffee shop.
Yeah.
A pat on the back is nice every once in a while to say job well
words
done.
of affirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah, just especially as men.
Yeah.
Men thrive off of respect and typically words of affirmation.
Yep.
And if we can give that, if we can show that, I'm sure it would. I mean, you say you're not broken or need fixing, and I would say everybody's hurting in some sense, like you
100%.
said,
Yeah.
whether it be financially, emotionally, family life.
Yeah.
And usually it's not out in the forefront.
Right.
Not many guys are like you and I, where we're willing to go out there and just be like, hey, yeah, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
help me out here.
No, I am one. So,
Well, so let's move into, because I love the energy. Now, you said engage. Is that the first letter of energy and the
Yeah.
acronym that you talked about?
Yep.
We're on it. Why don't we just go through that? I would love to kind of go, or do you want to go through the whole energy platform and the acronyms and what they do?
I think we'll go through it as
Okay.
we go.
Perfect.
As we move on.
I love it.
I think we've already hit a couple of them.
Oh, okay.
I think the why is you matter.
Ah, okay.
See, every engagement leads a charge, whether it's positive or negative.
Yeah.
And that's where energy comes from. What kind of energy are you leaving someone with?
Mm.
And so we have the same ability to withdraw energy,
Yep.
bring in, you've been there where you walk into a room and you can just feel the negative energy.
Yeah.
And you can also feel when there's a positive energy. My whole hope is every time I go into a room, I leave that room better off than when I walked in,
Yeah.
in some way.
Yep.
Maybe by a small conversation. I have no idea where it's going to go. But I think so many times, if we can just make one connection, what does that do? What's that ripple effect on others?
Well, and as men of faith, I think that we were called to be the light and the salt, right?
Yeah.
So, neither one of those are things that make things worse when you show up, right? So we're either being a light, which is a positive thing, or we're being salt, and we're actually preserving or so. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. I love that concept, first off, because to your point, 15 years, you probably weren't that person, or you were not that person, and I wasn't either. I was more of a very self-centered, and it was all about what did people do for me, right, as opposed to how can I help others, right? So,
and that's where we get into trouble so many times, is it becomes all about us.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about all the things that we go through in life, and if you're late to something and you're mad in traffic, that was a you problem.
Right.
It wasn't anybody else's problem. It became a you problem. If you're late to whatever it might be, it becomes me.
Yeah.
More so than anyone else out there. They're the bystanders that get blamed for everything.
They're the scapegoat of your anger, basically, and like, wait a minute.
If you just leave a little earlier, you probably wouldn't have had that issue,
yes,
right?
Yes.
But
which actually changes my mindset in traffic too, because I do not get upset in traffic, and even if someone cuts me off or I'm like, that dude must be in a hurry, or he must be having a bad day. I always try to give the benefit of the doubt on every situation. Who knows? Maybe their child just went to the hospital and they're literally trying to get there, and I'm good, man.
Yeah.
I got nowhere. It's not that important to me. I don't understand how people get that upset in traffic, but
it's a change mindset.
I digress. So
yeah.
Well, and that is the mindset. So let's get into that a little bit, because I want to understand. And this is something that has been probably for the last 4 years now. I've been heavily invested in trying to learn more about the power of the mind, the power of positive thinking. There's a book out there, or how psychology plays a role in in you in general and your leadership and your health and everything else. So,
Yeah.
And you kind of dive into this a little bit, I believe. So can you share a little bit about that, positive psychology and how that, the science behind that in leadership roles or even in just you roles, right? So,
I think the power of a positive mindset, just like you said, if we can approach things differently, but it becomes, we have to understand first that we have a choice in everything that we do.
yeah.
We always think that it's always someone else's fault. Like I that phrase is used a lot now. We get to. We instead of we have to, we get to.
Yeah.
I love the phrase, but I think it's more than that. I think yes, we get to, but we all still have a choice. And if we can choose to see things as the glass half full rather than half empty, I think it changes our mindset to start to go, just like you said, maybe that person has a child that's sick and needs to get to the hospital. Maybe, they're in a hurry to get home to their family for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I think if we start to see that we have a choice in the matter, it changes the way we think, because now we're in a positive state. And when we're in a positive state of mind, it seems like everything else gets better.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's not problems. I mean, you could have told me 3 years ago now, when my parents both passed away within a 2-week span of each other, oh, just be positive. No, that's not what it is.
Right.
But what I could do in that moment was choose to see all the great things that my parents had done.
Yes.
And how they would be so proud of the things that were still going on to this day. We have, like I said, 3 grandkids. They would have been 3 great grandkids to them. And my parents would have just loved the way that my family gets along so well. They all interact together. But, not having that mindset throws you the other way.
Yeah.
You see everything that's wrong in the world. Well, when we are faced with that every single day, you turn on the news in the morning time, what's the first 15 minutes?
Well, I don't turn on the news, but
but
yes.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Don't do no.
Yeah.
First 15 minutes are all bad.
Oh, yeah.
And what happens is that's how you start your day.
Yeah, you set the tone for the rest of your day to be absolutely, and you see it in people. You see it usually family members, whatever, parents. But yeah, and I've always, I shouldn't say I've always, over the last many years now, what you look for, you'll find.
Yeah. It's the same way I say it. What you scan for, you'll find.
Yep. Yeah. And it's there. So it depends on what you want to find. Because if there's bad, you're going to find it. If that's what you're searching for.
Find.
Yep. But if there's the good is too. It just, and that's, we talked about that with my oldest daughter was on and talk about like our mind is a computer.
Yeah.
And it's been programmed all these years. And people, well, that's just the way I am. No.
Yeah.
No, you got to take the action to reprogram your mind, and because it can be done.
Yeah.
And that's why this psychology thing, and it's like, I'm so fascinated with it because it really is. It's like you can become a completely different person, and it's not to say that who you are is bad or anything like that, but why wouldn't you want to become a better person, better version of you, I should say? Upgrade your hard drive, right?
That's a good point.
Let's go.
I love that.
Yeah, that's so. So what are some? What are some things you learned or ways to? Because I always like to get a little tactical too.
Yeah.
Like the concept's great, but the person that's sitting there watching this or listening to it's like, well, how do I do this?
Yeah.
What are some great and we'll get some more details, but what are some great ideas or ways to shift that mindset into being more positive and to focusing on those things?
Yeah. So there's a few of them that we talk about. Number one is getting some exercise.
Yeah.
I was talking and I can't remember who I was talking to, but our family did really the 10-mile road race in Flint last year, and I dreaded running. I'm not a runner.
Nope.
I don't want to do that. But what this person says was, I've never felt worse after a run than I did going into it. Meaning there's something that happens mindset-wise that changes you. Just getting that exercise. Go to the gym. People do that. Those same thing holds true. Get a good workout in. I just feel better when I leave.
Yep.
So that's one, getting some exercise. I think so many times we just stay in and sit and get in that same routine, and we wonder why we feel the way that we feel.
Yeah.
Number two is journaling. A lot of people do that now.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things is journaling about, maybe a positive experience that you had. Doesn't always have to be positive, but it can be just getting things out on paper.
Yeah.
I think it does two things. Number one, it gets your thoughts out. And number two, when you look back, you can see the progress that you've made just by continuing to journal.
Yep.
I've heard people say journal your prayers. I think that was one that we were at together, a workshop.
Yeah, I think that was journal your prayers was a amazing concept because it was twofold. One, you got to kind of look at what you were praying for.
Yep.
But we easily forget the answered prayers that we've gotten.
Yeah.
And we can go back and be like, man,
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can start practice
Sure.
that gratitude by seeing all the answered prayers of the things that you journaled. So yeah, that's a good
100%.
one. I think Miracle Morning.
Yep.
Hal Elrod, that's a good. So just
Okay.
throw that out there. That's a good
Yeah.
one. He talks a lot about journaling.
Yep.
In the morning, and that was something that I need to get back into. I
Yeah.
think you heard me speak. Like I wrote in the book when I was going through
Yeah, you
the
did.
thing with Amber, and I could see the progression, and it's a lot of bad things that I don't want to remember in that book. But when I went back recently before the last men's leadership conference, I read through some of those pages and I saw the transformation that God was doing in me as I was writing.
So cool.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
it was pretty powerful.
That's good.
Yeah. So journaling's
stuff.
awesome. All right. So exercise, journaling.
And you just said the last one, gratitude.
Yeah.
What you said earlier, what you look for, you find. I think that holds true too. If you're looking for all the great things in your life, you're going to find more great things.
Yeah.
And I say this, I've said this to my wife before, if your child comes and asks you, hey mom, hey dad, I need help. What are you as a parent automatically going to do? You're going to drop everything.
Yeah.
Right? And so if your child or if your spouse or if your parent, whatever it is, comes to you or you go to them and say, hey, I need some help, they're going to drop everything. One way to change mindsets is to say, hey, I haven't had the greatest of the day. Give me one good thing that's happened in your life. And now you can scan a little bit. If you're a negative person, you might say, well, you know what? I worked today and made some money. Cool. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
Talk to you later. Day 2 rolls by. You ask them that same question. Well, your dad went out for a walk today and I'm feeling pretty good. And okay, perfect. Day 3 rolls around. They're already scanning.
Yeah.
Because they know that you need help. So that's just a cool trick to play on a mindset of individuals to say that might not be in a positive state. Hey, I need some help.
Yeah.
I'm needed. I feel needed. We want to respond as a human species when we feel needed.
Right.
I'm going to help you out. What is it that you need? I'm really playing the mindset game with them now to get them to start seeing the positive.
Well, and not only that, I feel like it would help.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, it's absolutely going to help.
I mean,
but it's also helping them too.
Yeah, because it takes that. That was one thing that I've learned over the years of. God designed us that way.
Yeah.
He designed us to not just be self-centered and inward focused, but if we have an issue, if we're troubled or whatever, He designed us to actually serve others.
Yeah.
And that's really what actually gets us out of our
Yeah.
funk. That's what my pastors always said. If you ever feel like that you're desperate for help, go serve someone else.
Yep.
Go serve someone else, and then see what that does for you. And it does. It changes a
100%.
lot of perspective about your situations.
Yes.
So being able to ask that question of someone else and getting that positive, whatever, like you said, it could be minor, but getting that from them would be like, man, that's cool. All right.
Yeah.
And then you even start thinking about positive
Yeah.
things at that moment. So I like that a
Yeah.
lot. I've never thought of that.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. All right.
So there's a couple there.
Yeah.
And then you touched on something early, just a minute ago, when you said helping others.
Yeah.
There are speakers all over that talk about this, but the oxytocin that we get inside our bodies just by helping someone else, by giving, the ability to get more of that good feeling is by giving to others. And so I think that's another part in this whole process is what you just said. If we're helping others, that's great, but we're also getting something in return.
Yeah.
The other part of that is how many people are watching or seeing that we're not even expecting to see that they're seeing the action that we're helping somebody else, and they get a good feeling about that as well. There's something that runs through their body to go, wow, that's pretty cool. I noticed what you did with that for that person over there.
Yeah.
And now there's
and they may never say anything to you, but it's there.
Not at all.
And they think about it and they're like,
Yeah.
I want to, maybe I should jump on board with that.
That's right.
You know, it does. It creates that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember an old clip back in the day talking about, it was a video of a guy dancing on the side of a hill.
Yeah.
And he was just dancing by himself. You remember, have you seen that?
Yep.
Yeah. He's just dancing by himself. And I just remember it saying, be the guy dancing on the hill.
Yeah.
Because after, I don't know what, 5 minutes, 6 minutes,
yeah.
whatever, of him dancing by himself, all of a sudden a couple other people came, and then it was just and then everybody was dancing on the hill, and I'm like, that is powerful. And that's really how it is. Like, you know, be the leader, but be the willing to go first, right?
It takes one person to step out.
I love
the
that.
comfort zone.
Man,
so
that's good.
So there's a few things there, that I think increases the mindset.
I love that. Those are good actionable steps. So again, we had we said exercise, journaling, and practice gratitude and serving others.
And then you mentioned serving others,
of course. And then I always throw in there, instead of getting up and turning the news on, and get up, open up that Bible, or a devotional, get a little bit of God in you, and practice a couple. Say 3 things that you're grateful for that morning. And start that day off, right.
I would say that's number one.
Yeah.
I would say that's number one.
Absolutely.
Another one would be, just like you said, conscious acts of kindness. Just how do you consciously, and it could be in the simple form. We talk about this a lot in our workshops. Simple thing is texting somebody that's on your mind and sharing some good news with them.
Yep.
I've seen families reconnected just by the simple 30-second text. Yeah. I say this, we have 1,440 minutes in a day. Give me 2 minutes just to shoot a text to somebody.
Right.
And look at what happens. The response on the other side of that is, more times than not, you have no idea how much I needed that this morning. I mean, that's being in line with what God says first.
Yes.
Sending something out to somebody that maybe during your prayer time, you see their name, you see their face, you know what they're going through, you send that text out, and it comes back to you in so many ways.
Yeah.
And they're more likely to do the same thing
right.
to someone else too.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. It's about the power of just connecting, and that's, man, all right.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the kind of the psychology, and we've mentioned this quite a bit, but I wanted to kind of get brief with maybe how faith has played a role in your leadership journey and message, and when that faith started. Because it sounds like, and I could be wrong, but based off the message that you've been sharing today, that for a while faith was not really on the forefront of your life.
No.
But at some point, and that was probably after you started meeting with the pastor, with your wife, that became part of your journey. And so what did that look like over that? And again, it doesn't have to be a long, but I'm just curious on how that plays a role in where, what you're doing now.
I grew up in church, had a, I wouldn't say relationship with God. I went because my parents went, and I think that's how a lot of us do growing up.
Yep.
And I wouldn't even say that I was the strong faith person in our household for a long time. Excuse me. I think it was my wife more so than me.
Right.
And when we started having kids, she said, I think we need to get back in to some kind of church. Well, we didn't want to go to the church that my parents went to because we felt like it would still be living out their religion, their faith, whatever. And then we didn't want to go really back to where her parents were because of the same reason. And so she picked something totally different. And I'll tell you, I fought it every bit I could because I didn't grow up with the things that were happening at the churches that we were attending.
Right. Yeah.
But I think it happened more so with my kids. My oldest son, he has always had. All of my kids have always had this faith that I just don't understand. I mean, my wife and I both, we look at each other from time to time and we go, where did they get that?
Yeah.
I feel like they're so far above where we were and where we still are today sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
My son is a worship pastor. He preaches
I've heard your son is quite the singer.
Yeah.
By the way, I haven't had a chance to hear him, but I've heard that he is quite the singer.
They're very talented.
Yeah.
So him and his wife, and then my middle daughter, my oldest daughter, are all singers. So it's pretty cool. But
that's awesome.
But even the other two, my youngest, who's 20, she's in college, and then my 25-year-old son, who's in sales, they have this amazing faith that I can only say is a result of, and I give credit to my wife, of being that person that led us out. Now, I believe I'm more of a leader now in that.
Yeah.
Not that I'm way up here and she's not. I don't
No,
mean it like that.
no.
But I think the man has to become the leader of the spiritual leader of the household. And in what way he goes, they go. And that was never my thing. I started studying, I started reading, praying, and just asking God to reveal things to me that He wanted for both of us and our family.
It's a good segue to listen to the last podcast, because the last podcast was literally a Foundation in 15 on how to be a leader as a husband and a father. So
there you go.
We talked a lot about that, and you're right that it's not you're not a leader because it's not a hierarchy thing.
Yeah.
It's literally being willing to go to the trenches first, so that your family can follow. And we talked about this, and I would think that this is something over the years is being. We were talking about the lion and the lamb.
Yep.
On a podcast, and we talked about. He said, Pastor Bud said, "Yeah, you want to be a lion for your family, but be a lamb with your family."
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is so strong, strong. And so the fact that you were able to shift and get, because I was the same way.
Yeah.
I was not a very good leader, even though outward appearance you would think that I was.
Everybody thought you were.
Yeah, everybody thought I would, but no, I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was.
Me either.
It was I thought I was a boss,
Yep.
and that's not the way you lead a family, right? So. Anyways,
Yeah.
So
That was-
learn a little bit about that on the podcast before this one.
Yeah.
That way you know what we're talking
That's
about.
right.
So.
That's right.
So
I'll just continue on with that just for a second. What's really cool, and you may be getting into this, I don't know, but what's really cool is when you can look back now and you can see that your kids, through your faith, through your prayers, through your trying to go where they would have the best chance at having and developing a faith. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't about us.
Yeah.
My wife and I have always said we can get what we need wherever we go. But when we only have 18 years really to raise this family, we need to go where they're going to get the most out of it.
Yeah.
And so to look back now and you see God's hand upon it, my daughter-in-law, she's on that worship team too. My son's wife, that whole relationship really became cool to where she was baptized after dating him, and there's just such a strong faith there as well.
Yeah.
Which now they have a 9-week-old. I'm going to get that wrong, so I apologize. But 9-week-old.
well, you never know when this was released.
Right,
It might
right,
be.
right. And then our oldest grandkids, my oldest son and his wife have 2 grandkids that they're in church every Sunday. And my one is only 2 years old. My little one's 2 years old, but they just got their hands raised. And it's wow, to see God's hand work through what I thought could never be used to where he's at now, and they're leading people.
Well, he uses the, what is it? He doesn't qualify he doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we were. We were just called, and we weren't qualified by any means. But through it's probably because they saw they're like, well, if God can do something with him, then God can do something with anybody.
Yes, he can.
We were good examples for our family.
That's exactly right.
Kyle? So
Yeah.
So. And we talked about the energy framework, and so the last thing I want to touch on is before we get into our Forged 5 is I want to talk about, like, you've always been one to, at least in my limited experience of listening to you, is to share the failures and how we learn through the failures. And so I want to talk a little bit about how failures have shaped you and taught you the most during your journey.
Yeah.
And so, because I think that a lot of men out there, a lot of people, when they're in the moment, they see the failures that they're in, and that's it, right? All they do is they see the failure, and even us being years out of those failures sometimes revert back to like, oh man, but how can we use those failures? What have you learned through failures? And when you're going through them, now that we look back at them, what are some good questions to ask yourself during those moments of failures to kind of pull yourself out, or even, learn and grow from it? So
I think one of the things that I go back to is I disqualify myself a lot because of who I think I am. Mm-hmm. But who does God say you are?
Yes.
So God did not create you to be that what we assume failure. There are things that happen in our life that we consider failures, but I believe God calls stepping stones. Yeah. And that's what I've tried to base everything on, is those things that have happened in my life. Don't dwell on them. Understand them. Why did you go through those things? And then how can they be used to help you come out of what you're going through, but then also to help somebody else get out of theirs?
Yeah.
And I think surrounding yourself with good Christian people. I'm not good at that. I'll be honest. I just
well, frankly, most men aren't.
No,
we're really bad at it.
Yeah.
Because we all. I'm assuming that your parents were probably the same way. We all were taught, as a man, you just, you deal with it, don't cry, whatever, push through, grind it out, right? All these things that are good in a sense, but without any support backing any of it, it doesn't necessarily do any guy any favors doing that, right?
Yeah, be tough.
Yeah,
be tough.
Yeah, just be tough. You're fine.
You're fine. Yeah, that's something that we heard.
Not. Yeah, exactly. So we're pretty poor at asking for help.
Yeah,
yeah,
100%. Like I mean, this was not something I ever would have done years ago.
Yeah,
because we've filled ourselves with pride and got us in a lot of trouble in my and my thoughts. But I think surrounding yourself with good people. What do they say? Show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Yep.
Who are your friends?
Yeah.
Because if your friends are all doing things that's you're going along with, you're not ever going to make that change to who you want to be.
Right.
I think that's true of anything.
Yeah.
If whatever you use, if all your friends are doing that and it's not the right thing to do and you are being tugged in a different direction, as hard as it might be, you have to switch your friend circle.
Yeah.
And you have to find people that are like-minded and want to do the things that are going to draw you nearer to God. Not to say that you disown those people. I don't ever believe that.
Right.
But what I do believe is they will start to see a change in who you are and start to question it. People will fall away. I do believe that.
Yeah.
People are like, I just don't want to be around anything to do with you anymore because you're a changed individual. Okay.
Well, it makes people uncomfortable.
It does.
It does, because it reveals. It's like a mirror.
Yeah.
I think when us as guys start to grow or change, and if there's individuals that don't want anything to do with that, it's a mirror, and they're like, dang, because it does. It really does show the changes that you probably need to make as a man.
Yeah.
And so out of sight, out of mind, right?
Yep.
That's a lot of times, and we've done that in the past, I'm sure.
100%.
But yeah, I agree with that. So surround yourself with good quality people, and I don't think it has to be hundreds, right?
No.
There just needs to be a couple close ones that you can go to. I call them your mat carriers, right?
Yeah.
So
I remember
you got to
that.
have your mat carriers, ones that are willing to carry you when you can't carry yourself.
Yeah.
And not just carry you, but make sure they're pointing you towards good biblical. I do think that's very important.
Yep.
Not everybody listening probably agrees with that, but at some point, hopefully there's some merit to that. In their world. So, but yeah,
I think as you do more of that, I think people will start to see, like I did, that's who I always wanted to be, but I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't. And then they start to question, and you just start a relationship with them, right? And that's that social connection you talked about earlier, building that social connection surrounding who you're called to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's, if we can get to that point, maybe those folks over there that wanted nothing to do with you, don't disown them.
No.
But
the stronger you get, you're able to actually pull them up, right?
Exactly.
So when you're weak, you can't pull someone else up or a group of 4 people up on your own, right?
Yeah.
But as you grow, you learn, you develop, and you have a surrounding cast with you, you're actually able to pull other people with you.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is not forcefully.
Right.
It's one of those things where you can actually just encourage them. Like you said, you've learned a new way to actually encourage someone, and they're like, oh, all right, well, hold on.
Yeah.
Maybe I was looking at this the wrong way the whole time, right? So
Could be.
That's awesome.
Could be.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. I want to touch on your website and how the people can connect with you before we get into our final questions.
Yeah.
And I personally want to thank you so much for coming on, because
Yeah.
this has been an awesome conversation.
Oh.
And we probably could go for another hour.
100% we could.
But
Yeah.
I think we've already been almost an hour in.
Okay.
So
All right.
I'll just have you back on again, and we'll get
Yeah.
into some other topic, because
Absolutely.
I could do this all day. But
I would love that.
I want to respect your time too. So last website is speak-positivity.com.
That's it.
Right? And that's your website.
It is.
And that's where people can go to. What's on the website? I know they can connect with you, obviously,
Yeah.
but are there platforms or maybe programs that they can utilize, or what's the website designed
what I
for?
would say, it's just to get my name out there, really,
Gotcha.
just to
Okay.
get the content out there and what we talk about.
Gotcha.
The energy acronym is out there as well.
Awesome.
And so,
So if people want to learn more about what we discussed
Yeah.
today, kind of dive in a little bit more on the energy, go to that website.
Yeah.
So again, that's speak-positivity.com.
Yep.
Or they can reach you out on LinkedIn or Facebook.
Correct.
Kyle Henson.
Yep.
So yeah,
I'd love to connect with folks.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be business related. I want to put that disclaimer out there. What I feel is, if this resonated with someone out there, connect with me, please.
Yes.
Because that's going to allow us to have more of a conversation, to let me see where you're at, not in great detail for a judgment at all,
Yeah.
but maybe that's one of your people that you can now start to reach out to,
Exactly.
just like you.
Yep.
If I needed something, I know I could call you at 3 a.m. and you're going to
Absolutely.
answer your phone.
Yep.
Who are those folks in your?
I
Well,
might
yeah,
not-
yeah.
I mean,
probably not 3.
I'll probably be sleeping, but it
It's
won't
on
hear.
mute.
But
It's
still.
on mute. Yeah, I'll get
But
back
I'll
to you in the
call you right
morning.
back as soon as
you
I
will.
walk- yeah.
Yes, you will. That's good.
I love that. All right, so yeah, reach out, and if you don't go to the website, or maybe you were driving and you didn't get a chance to write it down, just comment on the podcast, and we'll make sure to connect you with
Yeah.
Kyle. So absolutely. All right, let's get into our Forged 5, and
Okay.
this is 5 questions where we ask our guest on the show just to kind of a deeper level, get to know, and these are a little more thought provoking than the fire starters,
All
but
right.
they're-
I'm gonna
so.
have to take a drink. For this one,
There
I
you go.
think.
Yeah, let's take a drink.
Let's do that.
So number 1, what's one daily habit that changed your life?
I would say it's reading in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'll be quite honest with you. There were changes in my life that were made, but not as much as maybe the last couple years. And I don't mean that I didn't read before that, but what I really found myself doing is digging deeper
Yeah.
into stories. And one recently was Jonah. I always thought that was about a big fish, and that was great.
Yeah.
But if you finish with chapter 4, which is 4 chapters in that book, that really tells you a lot about who we are today. The same things that we had back in that time,
Right.
we still deal with today.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't want to answer that question for anyone.
Yeah.
But if anybody is wondering, and they always thought that story was about a big fish and faith, it is. But there's also more to that.
Right.
And he leaves you with a question at the very end, which I think is so cool. So
I like
leave
that.
that-
All
I'll
right.
leave that cliffhanger.
There's this week's challenge. Go
Yes.
read Jonah.
Yeah.
I like that. All right. What book, podcast, or person has impacted you the most? And I always say, so the Bible's, the Bible and Jesus, number 1. So
Yeah.
outside of that, what's one thing, or what book, podcast, or person has impacted you the most?
I would say book-wise, I'm not a great reader. It takes me a while. The Energy Bus by John Gordon
Okay.
has always been a favorite of mine. John Gordon does a lot of great work,
Yeah.
but they're small books and they're easy reads. And for me, the Energy Bus told my story.
I like that.
So
yeah. John Gordon, have you heard the story of when he first started writing books? And he went to do a signing or something like that, and a bunch of people showed up. They thought it was Jeff Gordon.
Oh, yes. He does tell that story,
Yeah.
I think. I can't remember where I
thought
saw
that
it.
was
Maybe it was
hilarious.
through you that I heard that.
It might have
So,
been a podcast. I think
yeah.
he was on like Ed Milet's
That was
podcast
so
or something
funny.
like that. But I
Yeah.
thought that was hilarious. That
Yeah.
they thought Jeff Gordon. So a bunch of NASCAR fans
he's
showed
like,
up. They're like,
"What's
"Oh,
going
who
on?"
are you?"
Yeah.
That's funny. Anyways, all right. What's one piece of advice or lesson that you've learned that you will never forget? And you may have touched on this already while we were talking, but I always like to, nice capper.
Yeah. One lesson I've learned is, to me, don't try doing things alone.
Yeah.
I think that got me in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Trying to take care of everything on my own, trying to, which led me down a whole different path. I think surrounding yourself with good people, communicate with your wife.
Yeah.
That was a tough one for me. But I think, if we can get those things done where we communicate with her and we're open with her, sharing those things, that's great. But you and I can share something different than my wife and I can. And
Yeah.
you can hold me to a higher standard than she can in areas of my life.
Right.
Because you've been there.
Yep.
And so if I can surround myself with good people, good Christian people that help me in my walk, I think that's the lesson that I will not forget.
That's a very important lesson.
Yeah.
I think that is, there's a ton of takeaways from this
Yeah.
whole thing, but that's a strong one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are, and I think the important part to highlight on that is there are certain things that we can share with another man that we can't with our wives.
Yep.
And it doesn't always have to be the most negative, nasty thing you can think of.
Not at all.
For me, a lot of that might be financially stuff,
Yeah.
right? Because our wives just think differently when it comes to finances
Sure.
sometimes. And so there's certain things that maybe it's let's protect her emotion or,
Yeah.
but you need to have someone that you can talk to that you
Yeah.
can. I love that. That's
Yeah.
huge. So
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. What is your favorite movie and why?
Oh, my favorite movie, probably, it's always been Field of Dreams. Baseball movie. I grew up liking that movie. I was a
Yeah.
baseball player.
You were going to be pro.
Yeah,
so,
I was.
I mean,
I was.
yeah,
All
so.
150 pounds to me. But that's always been a favorite movie of mine.
Love that
just
movie.
and I've always wanted to do that. I was in Iowa for 2 speaking engagements, and I was 2.5. I didn't know Iowa was that big, but they said I'm 2.5 to 3 hours away from that field.
Oh.
And I thought, well,
That's
it's a small
it's
state.
all field.
But
yeah.
I was in opposite corners,
Oh,
I
okay.
guess. So I would have loved to have gone out there
That
and
would have
see
been.
that.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I should
Yeah.
have. Okay.
So
I might have to go check that out too.
we
So
should do
it's
it together.
still there.
The next podcast is on the road.
We're doing Iowa podcast. I love it.
It is still there.
Oh,
Yeah.
we got to check that out.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. All right, last question. If you could have coffee with one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
I think it'd probably be 2 people. I think that'd be my parents.
Yeah,
One more time.
I like it.
Just because they had such a huge impact on my life.
Right.
And I would, they always say that when your parents leave, you always wish you could have one more conversation with them.
Yep.
And I would definitely have coffee. Obviously, Jesus.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's
we've
a
already
given, right?
Yeah.
But aside from that,
Yes.
my grandfather, I think, would be another one. I didn't know him. He had Alzheimer's when I think I was around 5 years old, so I don't remember a whole lot about him. But I know he had to be a great guy because my dad was a great guy.
Yeah.
And my mom was a great lady too. So
I love it.
If I could do that one more time,
That's a great answer.
we'd be at Tim Hortons. Man.
And as 2 guys that have lost parents, I think we can both agree, go ask your parents those questions before it's too late. Have that conversation that there's always time to ask them. No, go do it now. Go do it now. So thank you all for watching and listening. We are all over the platforms. So YouTube, Spotify, the whole works. And my one ask is if there's anything in this podcast that you took and said, man, that's huge and helpful, and you know someone that it can help, just share it with one man. Share it with one person, one family, whoever it is. But thank you so much for watching. And just remember, you were built for this.